Council, Councilman, oops, sorry, it's just popping in. Madam Executive Director, could you call the roll, please? Because I don't know exactly who's there because I'm on the phone. Could you do that
Sure.
for me, please?
Happy to do so. Corey Betts. Sabira Gordon.
Here.
Andrea Hawkins.
Present.
Melvin Medina.
Present.
Kelly Marie Valories.
Present.
Kevin Walton. Okay, that is your committee. Can you hear us, Madam Chair?
Yep. I can't see the agenda, so I'm
So next
sorry.
time- Yeah, I'm happy to
Okay.
help. So
Yeah.
the call to order, review and approval of the August 11th, 2023 minutes.
All right. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. And then I'll take it over to you, Madam Executive Director, to walk through the rest of the agenda for the moment until I can pull my computer up.
Sure. So the next item on our agenda is the introduction of one of our newest staff members at the Office of the Social Equity Council, and I'd like to introduce Arlene Jimenez Galindo. Arlene has joined us, and she's been with us a couple of weeks, and I think this is the first meeting that she is attending with the committee. So I would just give Arlene a moment to say hello.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to meet you. It's going on my 4th week now, so I'm very excited to be here and working on the community conversations, working with our clients right now, and then also working on social media strategies currently.
Welcome, Arlene.
Thank you.
And then the next item on the agenda is an update on community conversations. So Arlene, I'll let you go ahead and do that update.
Okay, great. So for the community conversations, we have 6 currently scheduled in New Haven as of this morning. We also have another 6 waiting to be scheduled, and of that 6, 3 are in process right now in Hartford, and we have 3 that I'm waiting for in Waterbury that I should have some more information by them by the end of the day. The trusted messengers were reporting out to us weekly on Fridays, so I should have more information by the end of day today. Of the 6 that we have scheduled in New Haven with Next Level Empowerment, we're having a citywide breakfast on Saturday, October 28th from 10 to 12. We also have Halloween in the Hill on Tuesday, October 31st. That will be with the West River, Hill North, and Hill South management teams and the Citywide Youth Coalition. On Tuesday, November 7th, from 6 to 8 p.m. will be the New Haven Housing Authority Tenant Resident Councils meeting. And then we have Monday, November 13th, the New Haven Clergy Association event. That will be at First Calvary Baptist Church, Monday, November 13th from 6 to 8. And then we have Thursday, November 16th, the Fairhaven Community Conversations from 6 to 8 p.m. That's going to be at Clinton Avenue School. And then we have Sunday, November 19th at Amistad High School at 5:30 with the Dixwell Neighborhood and New Hallville management teams. So those are the 6 that are currently scheduled in New Haven. For Hartford, we have 3 tentative events that haven't been solidified yet with locations, but they're really great community locations. I should hopefully have more information, get those dates solid, hopefully by Monday. And then we have 3 community conversations in Waterbury, and I'm scheduled to have an update with Waterbury today. So I'll have more information on that. We do have several outreach events that they are hosting within their own communities. So what I will do as soon as I get more information on those outreach events, I will also be forwarding the council those outreach events as well, if anybody would like to attend or stop by. And that's kind of where we are at right now. We've received our first invoice and really just putting everything together. We've done a lot of work with them in the last week, so very excited to get them started and get them going. Do you have any questions?
Sorry, I was gonna ask if you could share a little bit about your background.
My
for the
background?
company. Yeah, just so
Okay.
we can kind of understand how you come to this work.
Okay, well, you can look at my information. I am on LinkedIn. And I come back, I have over 20 years community experience in the state of California, working with disadvantaged communities. I've worked for Telemundo in California. I've also worked for several Spanish radio stations in California. I have worked in digital print, radio, television, as far as my marketing experience. My job before I came here in California is I was a marketing manager for 3 counties, San Benito County, Santa Cruz County, and Monterey County. And in Northern California, I've worked in entertainment, arena marketing, and with a focus on working with disadvantaged communities within all my positions. And recently I moved to this wonderful state of Connecticut, which I love to be here. And I worked for the American Red Cross for the last 2 years, working in their biomedical department with blood drives and specifically working in Connecticut's disadvantaged communities, creating awareness for blood and the awareness for sickle cell initiatives within the state of California, or excuse me, state of Connecticut. And now I'm happy to be here, taking my experience to everything that I've done in California and Connecticut to the council here. So you can look up my information on LinkedIn.
Thank you. That's just helpful.
Yeah,
For
you're welcome.
the meeting. Any questions from the committee about the community conversations?
Actually, I do have a question. So will the council get a kind of a synopsis or summary of the discussions that are happening within the community conversations, and then getting like an aggregated view of all of the different ones that you're having across the way, and kind of what are the action items coming out of that?
Well, our trusted messengers, they are providing a report at the end of the conversation. So we've asked them to wrap up their report, hopefully by the end of November, so that, they'll be taking all of the information, all the data analysis, everything they will be providing for us, which is in their contract. So they'll be giving that to us for our review. And then we present that to the council.
That sounds great. I mean, my thought here is, and let me introduce myself. I'm Kelly Valeries, the Chief Workforce Officer for the Office of Workforce Strategy. And so we coordinate workforce development across all industry sectors for the state. And Anthony is our Chief Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Access Officer. And I see so much synergy between the work that we're doing, right, in workforce. We're supporting the workforce cannabis work, but we're also supporting, probably at an even greater level, workforce development opportunities for all people, especially focused in disadvantaged communities. So there's a lot of work that Anthony is doing in convening his committee. Great opportunities to cross-pollinate the information. We also have a lot of work being done at DECD with their Community Reinvestment Fund. I think we talked about this at our last committee meeting, is understanding what DECD is funding within their community reinvestment, because again, it's focused on very similar, if not the same, communities. And how can we coordinate those efforts and scale the projects with braided funding sources and support from what our agency is doing, and then many other agencies across the state of Connecticut that have a foot in workforce development and community development. That's something as our state agency working with the Social Equity Council and DECD can help to coordinate cross-agency and cross-funded purposes of all working to support our underserved communities, which most have been, greatly impacted by the war on drugs.
No, that's wonderful. And I didn't mention in my background, I come with 12 years of experience working in workforce development in the state of California with the San Joaquin County workforce. And San Joaquin County in California is one of the most diverse, and also working with disadvantage in the state of California in workforce development for 12 years. So I'm excited also to work with you all. And I know Jenny, her and I have already had conversations about, a lot of workforce development initiatives and, how we're going to incorporate and, work together on that. So I'm excited to work with you all.
I am as well. We
Mhm.
do have a cannabis workforce coordinator that's going to be housed at the Office of Workforce Strategy, but really supporting the council. And I'm sure that we will develop great working relationships with you and that cross-agency collaboration on these efforts. We have identified a candidate and they're going through the HR process right now. And as you know, coming out of that process, it takes a while. We had over 400 people apply for that position. You probably would have been perfect for that position as well. So just really excited to have you and be working with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I ask another quick question? Thank you, Councilwoman Valeries. We had built in a survey system. What's the process to getting, for the trusted messenger conversations? Are we going to get individual results for those surveys? And can we, as the council, just see what the questions are that they're asking so we can make sure that they are getting to, so a big part of this is to being able to drive what our community reinvestment is going to look like. We want to make sure that the surveys are capturing the information that we're going to need for the reinvestment purpose.
So the surveys are capturing the data, and they are they're actually capturing into a spreadsheet. So we do have a spreadsheet. We can, we can see the data, we can see what the comments are. So when we get all of that back at the end of our survey period, we'll be reviewing that in the office, and Jenny will, we'll decide how we're going to, I guess, roll that out. But we do have the data. I've seen it, we've captured it. So and it's live. So, I mean, the minute somebody applies on the survey, it's there within minutes. So.
I know my question is, what are the questions? Can the committee have access to the questions that we're
Oh,
asking?
you have access to the question. Yeah, on the survey, the actual survey, if you click, have you all taken the survey? I suggest, yeah, go on the survey because you'll see all the questions on there and you can answer them and check it, but the questions are on the survey.
You can, yeah, the survey was shared with the council, was shared in my report, and then I did send an email to the council with the survey asking you to share it with your network. Anyone can take the survey. The way we are capturing DIA specific areas and the responses from folks in the DIA is through the zip code. So we ask what your zip code is, and then there's the series. If you look at any emails from me over the last month or so, Sabira has the QR code for the survey as well as a link to the survey, and it's also on our website.
I just dropped
And-
the
and
link
I
in
did
the
go
chat.
So this is Andrea. I did take the survey and I did copy and paste them into a note. So if somebody wants me just to send them to them, I'm happy to do that.
But we
Thank you.
encourage everyone to actually take the survey and ask their network to take the survey as well.
I
Yep,
did want to
yep,
mention
so-
too that, oh, I'm sorry. I did want to mention too that survey is, you can also take that survey in other languages. So when people click on that survey, they can take this survey in other languages if their browser is set to their language. So just wanted to let you know because that is available in all different languages and we tested it this week.
That's great.
Yeah, and I, Andrea, again, I did not intend to say to share the questions that people shouldn't take the survey. So I think we should all take the survey. My only thing was, I did take the survey. It's asking me about my zip code today, which is interesting because, right, I grew up in a DIA. So it, there's no real connection between like me today and my lived experience of, having grown up in Hartford. So that's just one thing that I think we're going to have to make some assumptions about. I'm not really sure how you get from, you might have lived in a DIA for a good portion of your life and then moved someplace else in, as an adult or whatever. So, yeah.
So
It's just something to think about when you're assembling the data.
Yeah. So one of the things it's kind of dealing with folks who are currently in the DIA. And then there's other questions that could let us know that the person taking the survey, because it says how, I think one of the questions is, how were you affected by the war on drugs? Were you incarcerated? Were you, your family? So there's those series of questions there. But the zip code one was to just kind of identify the folks currently living and in the DIA.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a question
Thank
with that.
you.
Yeah, I had a question with the survey too as well. Especially number 7. I think just especially around like food deserts. I don't know if that falls directly underneath lack of amenities, but I know that impacted having quality grocery stores or access to quality foods in a lot of those urban centers. So I don't know how we track that, but I know that's something that's critical to kids even having access to quality foods that trickles down into mental health and crime and so forth. So yeah, I'd love to be able to see something of it. Again, I think in the future, just having something that kind of highlights food deserts or quality foods or access to quality foods.
I think specifically in the conversations, I know that the New Haven group mentioned that very specifically because that's one of the big issues in their community. So we will make sure that during the conversations that we capture information related to that as well. And I can tell you that in Waterbury right now, there is a group that is addressing food insecurities and healthy eating and the lack of, accessible, affordable food. So it's a big issue. I don't know that it's captured in the survey, but we will absolutely make sure that it is captured during the conversations.
Yeah, and to elaborate on that, even in Hartford, I think that was one of the things that I was fighting for in the north end of Hartford, just to get a quality foods, because most people are shopping at their local corner store bodega, and the grade of quality of food is not the best. And when you look back, I believe it was after Dr. King, some of the war on drugs and some of the fights in the streets, the quality grocery store that was in the north end never came back, and a lot of these major corporations that have these quality stores decided not to come back in these cities. So there is a major impact, and it's not just Hartford, but obviously throughout the rest of the state and a lot of these urban centers. So I think it'd be great to track and figure out how to do some advocacy eventually down the lines where organizations do community conversations, maybe here they look at reinvesting and getting more quality foods in those neighborhoods.
And that's also part of in our first reinvestment plan that we put together, and then we kind of modified it to address our pilot program. But in our bigger or more extensive reinvestment plan, grocery stores and local grocery stores and food insecurities was a part of the community reinvestment, sort of the community, street and neighborhoods and bricks and mortar and facilities. So it's definitely in there. Thank you for bringing that up. But there's no other, I can, the next item on the agenda is a social media strategy discussion.
Okay, so we have a social media plan. It was submitted this week, and we have actually ordered some items for the social media. We are going to, let me see, let me pull it up here. I'm sorry. So some of the things that, for our social media strategy plan that was submitted, our goals that will be increasing SEC awareness throughout the state, community engagement, conversions of audience, really getting that audience buy-in to the SEC, some digital wayfinding, which is, an easy path navigation to our website, because whatever we put out through social media, we really want to drive people to our website, and a direct connection to our users and partners, because we want to have that direct connection to our partners so that we're able to share information, they're able to share our information, we're able to tag each other on various events that we're going to. A lot of what I've done in the last week is some observation, right? Observation of what all of the other social equity councils are doing across the nation, and what are the current social equity audiences, and what digital conversations are they having? What are they saying? What are they presenting? And really, determining our core audiences and our core demographic, being the Connecticut residents affected by the war on drugs, and DIA community organizations, neighborhood revitalization zones, neighborhood councils, and community leadership throughout Connecticut. And then also looking at our future audiences, what are the emerging demographics in the social equity industry down the road? Who's going to be speaking? Who are we going to be speaking to in the next 5 to 10 years? We have to take that into consideration when looking at our audience. And then also our industry and influencers, our social media influencers, can help to increase awareness and traffic of what the SEC is doing. And so, and the cannabis industry also can be very influential in spreading the word about the SEC. So, really looking at that as an audience in general. And also some of the creative, right? Looking at the content that's going to serve our mission is going to be engaging, informative, creative, entertaining, and inspiring. We're going to focus on education, industry, news, events, and then our brand. We're going to create and manage associations to the SEC brand and mission through a postmodern visual aesthetic for cultural impact, a guided color scheme, community visuals, and equitable imagery. And our tone is going to be professional in practice. And all of it is going to be approved by the state, of course, before we post it, making sure that, we're keeping in line what we're supposed to be doing professionally. It's going to be instructive and relevant, what is useful to the viewer, industry trends in social equity and cannabis, and how it relates to the viewer and their immediate community. And of course, we want to be attractive and inspirational. We want to have eye-catching posts, natural posts and photos that make the viewer feel good about our work. And, we want to post success stories and participants in the SEC, and, posts that are going to speak emotion to the viewer. So, really going to be developing that type of content. And then, again, I can't express enough the online community sharing, and that's going to happen through, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we'll have LinkedIn, so that we can have that connection to the professional community as well. We have also Canva that we're going to be utilizing, that we have ordered. We also will have a connection to our newsletters that we're going to have through Constant Contact that we have purchased, we're purchasing this week. And then we're going to be raising our reach and strategize and prep for, social media outreach through the use of paid social media, through advertising, influencers, creators. And SEC has requested digital marketing media kits, through so that we could start researching and seeing, what is going to work the best for us here in our communities as far as working within our, 36 DIA communities. And the paid social media will create awareness of SEC using strategic geotargeting within those communities, to make sure that they're reaching our information, and as well as retention, through retargeting information as well. So, without getting too deep into it, I just wanted to just give you an idea of what, I'm looking at. And then, the conversations, there's so many Connecticut influencers, and the conversations with influencers with Connecticut through their social media channels, their blogs, their podcasts, and have them feature SCC through collaborative efforts, whether they're, paid or unpaid. And then we can also, it's not even local, it can also include national as well. And then as far as the maintenance, which we'll be looking at, developing an editorial calendar, with design, with a certain design and abrupt changes if we need to. And, we'll have timelines and deadlines. We can have a 12-month to 6-month to 3-month to 1-month schedule out. And then the content creation with, creation and management of all social channels, creation of editorial for approval, marketing content, original scripts, clear messaging, calls to action. And then we also will have, a quick response, and then weekly, daily scheduled posts, monitoring timely response. And, that will be, we'll look, within our plan further what that's going to look like. And then analyzing, the analytics of our audience growth, our reach, our content analysis. I'm thinking quarterly, we'll look at that. And then, our budget within our budget of, the invoicing for our paid social media and reporting as far as our clicks, our posts, our followers, our impressions, what's working, what isn't. We'll make decisions then, and really just kind of working on our themes throughout the year. So that's just a really quick recap of what I proposed in this week to management.
That
Any
sounds great.
questions?
Yeah, so when you talk about influencers, what, like, are you thinking about local celebrities? Are you who are the people that you're thinking about that would serve as influencers? And I'd be super curious to know, as you're digging deeper into the demographics, about who you should be doing the outreach with, if that could be something that could be reported back to this group. I think it would be very interesting to learn about the process as you're going along with it. I'd be very interested to know that. And then, yeah, as far as influencers, I was wondering what direction you were thinking of going for that.
Yes, well, for influencers, right, it could be local Connecticut influencers. It could be, for example, if there is a local Instagrammer, right, but they are all over Connecticut, or they're highlighting Connecticut, they have a big following. That might be someone that we might want to, work with, and that might be somebody that we might want to, see if it'll be a fit with us to have them, work with us to promote what we're doing. So, there's different types of, it could be celebrity influencers, it could be, a business, or someone in their community. It just depends. What I would want to do is look at their analytics, look at what their reach is and who they're reaching. Are they reaching our core audience? And how can we work together and collaborate together to get the information out to their audience? Because I have been looking, and there are a lot in the state of Connecticut that are having their own communities, their own hubs in different cultures and different communities that really have a wide influence and reach within their community. They're a trusted messenger for their community. So we'll be looking at that. And of course, definitely would love to, as we do the analytics, really tracking what's going on and letting as you said, you want to learn the process as it goes. I think that's a great idea, because we're studying right now these DIA community. We're studying how we want to reach these 36 communities, and I'm looking at everything. And I think it's great that the council would want to, have more information on that too. And I will be reporting that. I said quarterly, possibly it might look different, but as we start, generating content, it'll be more. And then, you'll see the analytics will change. But right now we're starting and then I'm starting now, and then it'll change 6 months from now. So, you know, it might be we do it monthly. So it just depends. But we have analytics from different sources that we'll be looking at through the social media, through our, you know, email marketing. So there'll be a lot to look at. And I would love to
And
go
what-
over it with you if you ever have any questions.
Yeah, that would be helpful. And what's your budget that you're working with for this project? Like, what's your total budget for posting? Like, how much money are we spending here?
We haven't decided what the budget specifically for social media is yet. That's not something I've discussed yet with Jenny. So I'm still in the process of just designing the plan. And then now while we're looking at the media kits and, you know, the digital buying portion of it, then I'll know a little bit more like what I will require. And, you know, we'll talk about that as a team, what that's going to look like.
Currently, our outreach budget is 700,000, and that includes money for the community conversations. I see that
Our-
Member Hawk, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Member Hawkins has had her
Sorry.
hand up.
Can you say that again? I don't know if anybody else is having trouble hearing.
Yeah, I was saying that Member Hawkins has had her hand up.
Hi there, good morning. So I know in our last conversations about the marketing specifically, we talked about the importance of making sure that the marketing was aligned with the entire strategy, not just these conversations that are going to happen. So I know Director Clay, you have been working with your team to determine when that strategic planning work is going to happen. I just want to, would love an update on where we are with strategic planning, and then want to just make sure that our marketing is going to contemplate everything and not just these community conversations. So 2 questions there.
Yes, so our marketing will include everything, not just the conversations right now, because we are trying to get the conversations going and get the reinvestment plan together. That's kind of where our high focus is at this point. And what was your other question? Sorry.
So yeah, I think it was, where are we with the strategic planning work that should be directing a lot of the marketing?
Yeah, so we're kind of doing it simultaneously. So Arlene has only been on for a few weeks, and so we're kind of taking what we already know, taking what we should know, and putting it together, and we'll be drafting the plan and making sure that it is all inclusive of the things that we want to accomplish.
Great, and let me know if I can help just on that front. I just want to make sure that when we put a plan in front of folks, that process is very inclusive in terms of how the, you know, strategic challenge, the priorities and the initiatives come together. And I would love to make sure there's representation across all of the committees of the council, just to make sure that it's not a surprise when we see it for the first time. You know, get some of those voices in now before it gets baked would be a question or suggestion.
Yeah. So what the council didn't see, and I offered at the finance committee meeting, is to share the detailed timeline of our work. So what I didn't share with the council at the last, I don't know if it was a reinvestment committee or the council meeting, is I just did the high level, kind of just the dates that we already have scheduled. So there's no extra meeting scheduled for the council, but a lot of our sharing of drafts will be through email. And council members will absolutely have an opportunity to look at, to review, to read, to comment before we make any public meeting presentation of the plans.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anthony has his hand up.
Yeah, I had a question, but I think, you know, Andrea discussed the majority of them. But the other question that I did have, which was for Arlene, and you too, Director Clay, is Arlene, are you looking to design a lot of the copy? Because I think, there's going to be a lot of writing and designing. Are you looking to do it, or are you guys looking to more so outsource or have someone else, one of the marketing agencies, do that component?
Well, I've worked as a copywriter and I've done design work, but it just depends on how entailed and then with my other duties. So, I'm not sure because I have a lot of other duties as well. So I'll discuss that with Ginny, how that looks. But as far as getting started and getting our branding look and our, how we want to look as far as social media, we can start that. It's just something that, with the workload, I'm not sure exactly yet how that's going to look within our department. So, but we can get started.
Yeah, because I think that was part of the critical part of making sure it's consistent across just the strategic planning and messaging. And if
Mhm.
you were going to be doing it versus having another agency that helps to build it, and then maybe on the back end, you eventually enhance and complement it. But
Mhm. Mhm.
We'll have more discussion, and if they maybe we'll bring you into that discussion as well.
yeah, I would love
And
to.
on that note, sorry, we've had, so Councilman Medina, you were not here before, but we had kind of a fits and like a bad situation happen. I don't know if a bad situation, but we had a firm before and a contract didn't work out. So I'm very sensitive to this issue, but I also I am nervous that we're asking a lot of one person to be able to coordinating all of this. So we should really think about what it would look like to outsource the design part of it. It doesn't mean like a huge contract with somebody, but I really think we should walk through because there are people who this is what they do, and we could probably have a relatively small contract with a designer to kind of create all of what the logos and what the images are that the SEC is going to use. And so we could be consistent across all platforms. I would really recommend the staff looking into what that would take because it's been almost 2 years and we are just now getting social media off the ground. So I'd really not like to see us waiting another 6 months based on staff time and ability to be able to create good copy and really thinking through video content. I think it's going to be like, if you look at analytics and like how social media is received and like what people lean into and what they're going to, like what people, the kind of information people digest, it's going to be really important to make sure it's like aesthetically pleasing. Like no one clicks on like just words or whatever. So like we should really think about what it's going to take to increase grow our following, and like having really high click rates is going to require a lot to go into to build out what that's going to look like. So I'm just going to recommend taking a look at what it would take to have a firm designer copy or designer content for social media and the website too. State websites are just not great. State websites generally tend to be very flat. So I think if we want a dynamic website, it's going to be outside of what the state like probably is going to be able to produce for us.
So just so you'll know, Madam Chair, is we are not allowed to do anything other than what the state provides on the website. That we just got our website updated. I don't know if anyone has had an opportunity to look at it, but I did announce that we are live with the new look of the state authorized website. And the only thing we have the ability to do is to add and delete content from it. We can't do anything else. It's much better though. It's much more user friendly than the previous website that we have. So I would encourage everyone to click on and take a peek at it. Councilmember Hawkins had her hand up, and then Councilmember Medina.
I'm having such a hard time hearing you. I don't know if that's just me, but I really can't hear you. It's like very muffled and mumbly sounding.
Sorry. So I was saying that it is Councilmember Hawkins has her hand up, and Councilmember Medina has his hand up.
Okay, thank you. And I have a hard stop at 10 too, just so everybody. No, sorry, 11. Sorry, I apologize.
Okay. Member Hawkins, did you have a question? You're on mute.
All right. No, I was saying it was a legacy. I was just moving to take my hand down.
Okay, thank
So
you.
there we go. All set. Sorry about that.
Okay. And then Member Medina had his hand up, but he seems to, oh. Member
So,
Medina,
yeah,
did
no,
you have
still
a
have to-
question?
I do. Apologies for being off camera. Congratulations, Arlene, on the role. Very
Thank you.
excited for what you're about to successfully accomplish for the council. One question I had for you, you may have covered it, so apologies if I missed it in your kind of opening remarks, but I imagine some form of a market analysis of how people are receiving news, where people get their entertainment, and like the channels of communication that are most effective for folks who are living in the DEIs would be useful. Curious if you have any thoughts about, given the outreach budget that you have and the marketing that you think you'll likely need to do, whether you think you'll be requesting additional investments so that, you know, we are successful in communicating out to the community and basing that on market research.
No, I think that's a great idea. And I definitely did think about that as far as, you know, maybe because working in these different communities right across the state, there's a lot of different needs and that we might have to develop some type of survey and some survey like how do people prefer to receive their news, right? They may speak, maybe they speak a certain language, but they prefer to, you know, receive their information in a different language. So that is something that I had thought about, and that is something that I'm taking a look about as far as, you know, whether we do that in-house or we do, you know, we outsource that. But that is something I feel that is very important, and it is how people prefer to receive their messaging. And that is something that, you know, that is quite different, you know, on one side of the state sometimes in a DIA than the other side of the state. So that is so important. So yes, thank you for bringing that up. And
Yeah,
I
no,
didn't mention that in the beginning, but that is something I definitely was thinking about because I feel like we should, you know, conduct those type of investigations, you know, as far as marketing.
Helpful to know. Also very curious if there are any state compliance issues depending on the channel. I mean, Jeannie Ray, you mentioned the one about the website, limitations there, but you know, to the extent that we find out that, I mean, at least a lot of my work is in advocacy, right? Like text messaging is the most critical way that people like actually receiving information, and like, are there any limitations to a marketing strategy that is leveraging text messaging because of any, you know, state compliance issues. So curious about how, you know, those may come hand in hand, right? Like some analysis of what the state allows an agency to do across social media, text messaging, et cetera.
Right. And, you know, a lot of things come up as, you know, we're working on it this week, just within Spanish alone, right? Like how are we going to roll things out? So that's something that I'll be working with Christina Diamond on as far as, you know, compliance issues and communications. So we'll definitely be looking at that. Any other questions?
Thank you, Arlene, and thank you everyone for your questions.
Thank you, everyone.
And your engagement. The last item on the agenda is adjournment. If there's no other questions.
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All right, all those in favor?
Hi.
All right, thank you all, and I'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
Bye.
Thanks,
Have a great
everyone. Nice
weekend.
to meet you, Arlene.
Nice to meet you, Kelly.